Seattle.
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 Seattle. What's next?
Lost, found. It's time to decide.
Black, brown, white.
LGBTQ, young, old. Identity matters.
It shapes us. It graces us. Can endanger us.
Identity matters. But one identity matters most of all.
One identity should matter most.
We're human beings.
Somos ser humanos.
Sharing the same time.
Sharing the same city.
Sharing the same city.
The same city.
The same air.
Sharing, ultimately, the same aspirations.
To be safe, to live with dignity.
A vivir con dignidad.
To love and to be loved.
To discover and develop our talents.
To contribute.
To be part of something bigger than ourselves.
To be part of something bigger than ourselves.
There's no doing it alone. Not sustainably.
And what comes next has to be sustainable.
The world is too fragile.
We are too fragile.
Even here in our beautiful city.
Our wealthy city.
What's next, Seattle?
What next, Seattle?
Haves who have even more.
Have-nots who have ever less.
Or more that's shared.
Shared hope. Shared respect.
Shared prosperity. It's not enough to wish it.
We have to insist on it.
We have to invest in it.
Equity can't wait.
Equity can't wait.
Equity can't wait.
Good evening. I'm Kerry Howell, and I lead the Seattle Colleges Foundation. We're grateful to you for coming. We have an exciting and short evening ahead. Yes, we're all a little weary of screens, but we have some great stories to share. I want to pause for a moment and recognize that no matter where we are around Puget Sound tonight, it's a place of history and memory. On behalf of the Seattle Colleges, I acknowledge the land on which we stand today as the traditional home of the Coast Salish people, the traditional home of all tribes and bands within the Duwamish, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. Without them, we would not have access to this gathering and to this dialogue. I ask that we take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land who are still here. Tonight, we hear the stories of people from many different backgrounds, but with a common belief. Access to high-quality higher education changes lives. And that access should be equitable. To introduce our first speaker, I'll hand it to Dr. Constance Rice. We're honored to have Dr. Rice as a co-chair of our Equity Can't Wait Advisory Council. In addition to being the chair-elect of the board of the Seattle Art Museum, she is a UW Regent, a winner of the Puget Sound Business Journal's Women of Influence Lifetime Achievement Award, and a former First Lady of Seattle, Dr. Constance Rice.
Thank you, Kerry. As a former Vice Chancellor and interim president of North Campus, I know what miracles the Seattle district can bring to the youth and the families within the Pacific Northwest. Personally, I have seen so many young lives change, and it just thrills me to know that Equity can't wait for the future population as well as the current population within the community colleges. One of the things that I feel really fortunate to be able to do today is to introduce a giant of an individual who has established one of the most socially responsible corporations in the world, Costco. We know him as a wonderful individual who's done other great things. For instance, he has established the Costco Diversity Initiative. Astounding. I have met many young people who are now young adults who received that scholarship. And so if you're wondering who I'm talking about one of the kindest, finest individuals who believes in lifting, who believes in sharing. He believes in first generation young people having the opportunity to rise. No other than our honorary chair, Jim Sinegal.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us at the Equity Can't Wait event that we're having. I am a strong advocate of the community college system. I'm a product of a junior college system in San Diego. When I was in high school years ago, I took a vacation during my junior and senior years. And as a result, my grades suffered. When I applied at San Diego State University, the counselor there looked at my transcript and suggested that I really wasn't very serious about a college education. He recommended that if I really wanted to give it a try, I should probably go down to San Diego Junior College. And if I did well there for one semester, they would allow me to transfer in January. I was disappointed. How was I going to explain this to my parents? They were not very happy with the results there. Fortunately, I had some friends that were attending school down there, so it made the transition a little simpler. I got down there and it turned out to be a wonderful environment. I got re-engaged with education. I was satisfied with what I was doing and really proud of the fact that I did turn myself around in that respect. And I liked it so much that I stayed for the 4 semesters and got my AA degree before transferring out to San Diego State University, where I concluded my college. All that while, I got involved also in the retail business. So when I look back at the opportunity that community college gave me at that point, it truly was a life-changing event. There is absolutely no question that I wouldn't have enjoyed the success from a business standpoint that I have enjoyed if I hadn't had that opportunity. The purpose of this event this evening is to try to encourage support for a very important educational system in our community. For every philanthropic dollar raised for higher education, 1% is allocated to the community college system. Think about that. 1 penny out of every dollar is allocated to one of the most important educational systems that we have. Over 40% of the people, the young people who want to pursue a higher education are represented in the community college system. We can do better than 1 cent. We must do better than 1 cent. I urge your support on it. I think the community college system can be the same springboard for young people today that it was for me decades ago to ensure happiness and success in your career.
My name is Allen Bickham. Ever since I was a kid, I was fascinated by science. I love finding out the why behind everything that happens in the world around us. After high school, Seattle Central was a great option for me. I was fortunate to receive the Seattle Promise Scholarship, and I felt that Seattle Central was a great place to kick off my college journey. I was drawn into a program called Math, engineering, science, achievement, which helps students from disadvantaged backgrounds excel in STEM fields, and I really enjoyed it. Currently, I'm finishing a few courses at Seattle Central, but I'm also enrolled at the University of Washington, where I recently transferred and I will receive my Bachelor's of Science in Public Health. But that's not my last stop. Ultimately, I plan on applying to dental school. I was drawn into the field in 2019. I participated in a summer health professions education program, where I was able to shadow many dentists and other health professionals. I love to work with my hands and help others. I can confidently say that I'm on my way to my goals. I couldn't have begun my journey without the people at Seattle Central taking a personal interest in me. And I couldn't have done it without the help of Seattle Promise, along with the Desmond Jackson Scholarship, which honors Desmond Jackson, a young Black man who lost his life to gun violence a few years back. To those of you who are watching, I simply want to say this: the financial support you give to the Seattle Colleges Foundation makes a difference. I'm proof. My name is Allen Bickham.
In my role with the foundation, I'm surrounded by extraordinary volunteers, and I truly mean that. I wish there were time to individually celebrate each member of our board, whose names you can see on screen. But at minimum, let me thank Barbara Dingfield, our chair, who has done so much over so many years to get us to this point, this unveiling. Now, you met Dr. Constance Rice a few minutes ago. There's another co-chair of our advisory council, and the work that he's done to get us here leaves me humbled. I actually get a bit emotional thinking about all the time he's invested, all the conversations he's had, all the relationships he's formed on behalf of the colleges, and ultimately our students, because they're what this is all about. Until just a little over a year ago, he was the president and CEO of United Way of King County, where he had a remarkable 19-year run. He's someone of immense drive and commitment, and we're fortunate to have him as part of this campaign. Please welcome Mr. Jon Fine.
Thank you, Kerry. I appreciate the kind words. It's great to be here. At United Way, one of our priorities was ending poverty. We had several strategies, and an important one was investing in the success of students at community colleges. The work spoke to me, and so when I was asked to join the board of the Seattle Colleges Foundation, it was easy to say yes. I hope what you leave with tonight is the feeling that the Seattle Colleges deserve a lot more recognition and a lot more support. The strength of these institutions matters not only to the students, but to employers and to this whole community. Greater equity in education is not just right, it's smart, and it's time. These beliefs are at the heart of this campaign. I've been so encouraged by all the community leaders who agree and have stepped up to be our campaign advisory council. It's also been tremendous to see so many organizations step up with support for this event. BECU and Heartsprung Washington as presenting sponsors, Costco, Google, WSECU, and American Financial Solutions as champion sponsors, Amazon, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, JP Morgan Chase, Microsoft, Primera, and Seattle Bank as advocate sponsors, Mike and Becky Hughes as ally sponsors, and finally, as supporting sponsors, all of these tremendous organizations. Our campaign is already on its way, and you're part of it. Thank you for joining tonight. I'll see you again toward the end of the evening with a special announcement.
Jon, thank you. And I'd like to extend one more very sincere appreciation. Thank you to all the table captains who helped fill this virtual room tonight. You made it happen. Thank you. I want to let you know that if at any point tonight you're inspired to give, well, please do. It's simple. Just go to equitycampaign.info.
I'm Shouan Pan, Chancellor of Seattle Colleges. Today, I stand on the ground of North Seattle College At this moment, the campus seems to be quiet. Very soon, in a couple of months perhaps, or by this fall, we're going to see this institution will be beaming with busy students, bring energy, more importantly, their dream for better life, for great education. North Seattle College, together with the other colleges in our district, our faculty, staff are ready. Our students came from all over the world. Almost 50% of our students are first-generation students, and many of them are from low socioeconomic background. They're immigrants, they are single mothers, they are veterans, they are students with a disability. They want to seek better life. We're launching a major campaign called Equity Can't Wait. This campaign is trying to update our curriculum, stimulate innovation in instruction and student services, more importantly, to provide wraparound services to students who need us most. This campaign is not just about raising funds, although it is important. It is about for our community to recognize the broad, long-term inequity in our system, in our community, in our country. We want our community leaders, our educational partners, civic organizations to join us in this work. Through education, we can address the inequity.
Thank you, Dr. Pan. And it's time now to meet three remarkable women, the presidents of the three Seattle colleges. As you've been hearing tonight, if we can achieve more equity in education, the benefits add up for all of us in profound ways, for the students themselves, for our businesses, and for the strength and resilience of our community. Dr. Rosie Rimando-Chareunsap is going to get us started.
Thank you, Kerry. As Kerry said, tonight we hope to throw some extra light on equity, particularly equity in education. We all have a stake in it, and no one more than our students. That's what I want to take just a few minutes to talk to you about today. Though I don't know you all personally, I bet it's likely that you've gotten to where you are in life, or at least where you're heading, because of access to higher education. That is certainly true for me. But lives play out in different ways, as we all know, and along different paths. The question is the door to education truly open to you, whatever the path your life is taking? That's what we try to be at the Seattle Colleges, an open door, or actually open doors, many of them designed to meet our students' needs at any point in their educational journey, with people on the other side waiting to welcome and support them. 43% of our students are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And these students of color and those who are economically disadvantaged in Seattle choose our schools as their place to start college. Our students' median age is 28. So if you're a Seattle Colleges student, who are you? You might be an immigrant who's ready to learn English. You might be a running start student, a 16-year-old, getting dual credits for high school and college at the same time. You might be a high school grad setting yourself up to transfer to a university. You might be training as an apprentice for one of our region's great jobs in the skilled trades. You might be making a transition out of a career, either one that you were just downsized from or a career you're just ready to move on and move up from. Or you might be rediscovering your love for a field later in life, or at last be at that point where you can make the decision to pursue education for yourself. Sometimes these paths converge even in a single family. I'm thinking about a young man of a Latinx family of immigrants. He started attending South, and when he did, it inspired his father to think about his career change. And so he enrolled in our heavy-duty diesel program. Not long after, his mother got in on the act and enrolled for ESL classes. And a couple of years later, his younger brother enrolled as well as a running start student to pursue his transfer degree. It's a fantastic story, all degrees in one family. Like I said, our schools have many open doors. I want to talk about one that we're working hard to expand. That's the door for students who've just graduated from high school but are going to wait to go to college or not go at all. Quite often, these are young people of color in our city. What research shows us is that some of these young people may never enroll, or if they do later, they may not make it all the way through. But the message is you've got to make it through. At this time in this city, you have to have a post-secondary credential. Otherwise, the legacy of racial inequity plays out in another generation of our youth. So back in 2008 here at South, we decided to try to address this in partnership with the South Seattle College Foundation at the time, something called the 13th Year Promise. What was it that we found out? That if you provide tuition and wraparound supports like advising, tutoring, and mentoring, and you require full-time enrollment, then absolutely yes, you can put our young people on a new and accelerating trajectory in their lives. As you'll see now, it became the inspiration for the next chapter on a considerably greater scale.
I'm not really a school person, which is why I didn't want to go to college.
Nope, college was the last thing I ever had planned. But I talked to some of my teachers and they told me that the Seattle Promise would be the best thing for me to do.
I started to believe college was for me when I attended the Seattle Promise program.
I truly, really believe Seattle Promise is a transformative program. It gives students, families, immigrants, the kind of confidence that they can access higher education. I think it's one of the best investment this community can do for the long-term benefits of the city.
In addition to investing in our students by way of tuition funds, we are also investing in our students by investing in people to support them, and that comes by way of an outreach specialist who is embedded in their high school and supports individual students as they are making that transition from high school to college.
We don't just say, here's some money and then good luck in college. We really stick with them from application all the way to graduation.
Working with Alex, my Seattle Promise specialist, she is super kind. In the beginning of fall quarter when I first started, the first day I wanted to stop business. And so when I went to Alex, she was like, hey, like before you end up dropping business, let me give you a couple resources to help you. And if it wasn't for Alex, I would not be in business. I do want to own my own business.
There's ripple effects to investing in people and helping them to become better versions of themselves. That doesn't just impact the student, that impacts their families, that impacts their networks, and ultimately impacts our community.
The thing that changed for me, which made me go from I could do without school to school is necessary, is that I had people in my life that were more willing to actually tell me that they support what I'm doing. I am 100% sure that what I want to be doing will be involved with tech.
I am the first person to go to college in my family. I wanted to go to college because it's an accomplishment to me, and a lot of people didn't really see me going to college, so I want to prove them wrong.
That sense of accomplishment, that affirmation, I can learn, I can get a degree, I'm the first of my family, that it's worth lots of smile, lots of excitement. It cannot be measured by just dollars.
I really, truly want to say thank you so much, and I appreciate all the energy and support you sent my direction during a time where I definitely needed it.
Something that surprised me when going into college was that I'm really smart. I'm not gonna lie.
We're really proud of this program and grateful to the people of Seattle for getting behind it. Here's a concern. While Seattle Promise is set up to provide some added financial support, it's often not enough. We know that our students are not just students. There's so much more before they ever arrive on campus. They likely have part-time jobs or full-time jobs, as the case may be. They're family members, parents, daughters, sons, aunties, big brothers and big sisters. There's a lot riding on their shoulders before they even walk in our doors. Considering these other roles that they play in their families and in their communities, they often carry more responsibility than a traditional student coming out of high school do. So this leads us to a special guest who I had the privilege of speaking with recently. Welcome Melba Bartels. She serves as Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer at BECU, and she also serves on the board of the Seattle Colleges Foundation Board of Directors. And perhaps most importantly to me, she's a proud alum of South Seattle College.
Well, thank you, Rosie. It's great to see you. I am a proud alum of South College. I got my AA at South many, many years ago, and then transferred to the University of Washington, where I got my bachelor's degree, and then later went back to the University of Washington and got my master's degree. So certainly South set me on a course that helped determine my future, quite honestly. And not only did it make my education more affordable, but it allowed me the opportunity to explore in a really supportive environment many different subjects that I was considering as I was determining my major.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing a bit of your story and the history with South. So BECU has stepped up with a major 7-year investment in Seattle Promise. Can you talk to us a bit more about that?
You bet. And I appreciate the opportunity on behalf of BECU to speak about that and our commitment to the Seattle Promise program. As you can imagine, based upon what we just spoke about, it's a very personal passion of mine. So just by way of a little bit of background, by way of BECU, we are a member-owned financial cooperative. We are focused on supporting the financial well-being of our members and the communities that they live in and the communities that we operate in. And understanding that connection between the financial health of an individual and their community is really at the core of what our operating principle is of people helping people. And I'm sure we can all agree that education is a foundational element to both individual and community prosperity. So at BECU, we see the Seattle Colleges and the Seattle Promise program as key equalizers of access to high quality education. And we couldn't be more proud to support the program, just like the Seattle voters did in supporting the levy that passed. But it's pretty clear that to make it through, some students will still need an extra financial boost beyond the tuition support, particularly when you consider that 2/3 of this year's enrollees are from families with a median income of $75,000 or less. And we all know that the reality is that that just doesn't get very far in a city like Seattle. So BECU support will help some of those struggling students stay on course. And we've also made our funding pretty flexible so that the colleges can use some of it for targeted student services as well.
Melba, thank you. That is incredible. And thank you also for all the folks at BECU, including all of the members of BECU as well. And I want to say thanks to all of you. We're grateful for you coming tonight and for your interest in our work.
And now I'd like to turn it over to a guest who you will immediately recognize.
Working with Seattle Colleges on Seattle Promise is one of my proudest accomplishments as mayor, and I'm always so proud to hear from students in the program. And one of my most memorable events was the college's graduation. The college's commitment to its students and to equity was on full display. This program and Lange is an extension of your commitment to equity. It's going to make a big impact on the city, these students, and our communities. An equitable approach to delivering on Seattle Promise and doing even more for these students is so important. And I'll join with Seattle Colleges to support all students throughout the city. Through COVID-19 and this past summer, we saw starkly that equity must be deliberate, and that programs and campaigns like this are crucial. Tonight, I'm hoping that we are all making a commitment to growing programs like this and increasing our positive impact within our communities. Seattle Promise is a promise to a better future in Seattle, to an equitable future. I look forward to seeing more of the great work from the Seattle Colleges and the success of our Seattle Promise students. At the city, we couldn't be more grateful to be in partnership with Seattle Colleges, Seattle Public Schools, and everyone who has helped make Seattle Promise a reality.
Mayor Durkan, thanks for being such a phenomenal champion of the program. And thanks for coming tonight.
My name is Camila Christensen, and I'm a student here at Seattle Central I'm a computer science student. I was born and raised in Brazil. My parents never had the chance to finish high school. In Brazil, I had some high school education, but it wasn't really good. So I moved to the US to look for options of how to get a degree. I worked as a nanny in the beginning for basically 60 hours to go to school. The closest school that I had was Seattle Central. And I found some people that introduced me to the computer science. And I was like, oh my gosh, I do have an option of become a computer scientist or a software engineer. I had a brother that was really connected to computers, and my dad used to say that's only for boys. It wasn't for girls. I went to a conference. It was my first time practicing coding, and my mind was like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. That's basically where I found my passion. I had to overcome a lot. I'm really proud of where I am. When I started the program, I wasn't totally comfortable with the idea of being sometimes the only woman in a class with 30 guys. And now I can say I can speak out for myself and for other people. My whole dream since the beginning was to open a nonprofit to support women of color in STEM. If I could tell myself 5 years ago that I would be graduating from a computer science program, that I would have created an app, or that I would have created a game, I would probably laugh. So believe in your dreams. Don't let anybody say that you're not capable of achieving whatever you have in your mind.
Hello, I'm Sheila Edwards-Lange, the president of Seattle Central College. Thank you for coming tonight. We know that there are many ways that you can spend your time, and we appreciate you spending it with us. Camila Christensen, what an impressive young person. She's just transferred to the University of Washington studying computer science, and she's the recipient of their prestigious Martin Scholarship there. We know that many of our students transfer to the University of Washington because the Seattle Colleges are the leading source of transfers to the Seattle campus. Here's the thing. There are a lot of jobs in this region that require a bachelor's degree, and there aren't nearly enough spots at the University of Washington or the area's other colleges and universities to accommodate them. That's particularly true in highly specialized fields like Camila's. That's why a few years ago, the Seattle Colleges were one of the first in the country to be able to offer bachelor's degrees in a community college setting. We now have 14 and potentially soon 15, as you'll learn about shortly. You heard from the president of South, Dr. Rimando-Chareunsap, and she spoke to how students benefit when we increase educational equity. I want to talk now about the benefit to employers, and particularly to employers in two of the fastest growing fields in our region, technology and healthcare. To get us going, I'm pleased to welcome Steve Mullin, president of the Washington Roundtable, a nonprofit that supports education and economic development around the state. Steve, thank you for joining us. Among the many things that the Washington Roundtable does, you analyze the jobs picture. Overall, you're seeing 770,000 new jobs in the next 5 years. And of course, you note that for 70% of those jobs, a post-secondary credential is essential. Tell us more about that specifically as it relates to tech.
Well, different states have different workforce needs. Washington, not surprisingly, has a higher need for credentialed employers because of the percentage of jobs that are going to be available over the next 5 years that are in the tech sector and other sectors that require some sort of education beyond high school.
So we know that these jobs in the tech sector provide living wage jobs for folks in our economy. Who is getting access to these jobs now?
Well, tech companies are pretty good at finding employees for their companies. I think the question we as Washingtonians need to be focused on is to what degree are those jobs being filled by young students and people who go to high school or live here in Washington State. We often hear that Washington State's a highly educated state, and that is the case. But the actual attainment of Washington-born students is not where we'd like it to be, meaning that we import quite a bit of our higher-end, highly educated talent. And I think as a state, we need to do everything we can to make sure that our own students have the opportunities we want them to access the great jobs being created here.
So we're motivated as a community for our students to have these jobs, but do the companies really want to hire local young people, including young Black and Brown students?
Absolutely. I talk regularly to business leaders around the state, and there is a fundamental commitment to hiring locally when it's at all possible. I think that employers here view hiring out of state as something they need to do because they can't find the talent here, not something that they necessarily want to do. A recent sign of that commitment from employers is a new coalition called Washington Employers for Racial Equity. That coalition, which has now over 70 large employers from across the state, those employers have agreed and supported clear goals for hiring and promotion of Black Washingtonians and other BIPOC populations. And what we really need is to make sure that our K-12 and higher education systems are working together with our communities and our businesses and doing what needs to be done to make sure that Black and Brown students have the opportunity to attain a credential beyond high school.
Steve, we're so grateful for you being here with us tonight. And now's when I get to talk about the potential new bachelor's degrees that will be offered at the Seattle Colleges, a bachelor's degree in computer science. Stay tuned. It looks like it's coming. And what an incredible boost that will be to local young people who want to be part of one of the most consistently dynamic and successful industries in our state. Thank you for joining us. The other big job engine in our region is healthcare. And here again, greater equity and educational opportunity is a win, not just for students, but for employers. Denise Bañuelos is the Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Diversity and Workforce Development at Kaiser Permanente, Washington. Denise, thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time. There's been a lot of change in the healthcare world over the last year, including a lot more telemedicine. Do you still foresee a lot of growth and jobs in your sector?
Absolutely. We're always going to need RNs and medical assistants. With the shortage of RNs on top of our baby boomers retiring, we need to address these gaps and continue to have pipeline for those roles. In our surgical services department, we are expanding our surgical services to 12-hour operations and 12-hour shifts, which has created a need for more surgical techs. We have currently 13 positions open with competition in the field for the same thing within our area.
So in filling these roles, how does diversity and inclusion matter to Kaiser?
Our commitment to equity, inclusion, and diversity begins with our workforce. We're not only committed to providing equitable access to care, but also equitable access to living wage jobs with career paths. So Kaiser Permanente wants to make sure determined, sharp, and caring individuals are not held back by barriers preventing advancement of their careers.
Denise, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Healthcare workers have, without a doubt, been some of the heroes of the last year. Let's take a minute to meet some of those who are associated with the Seattle Colleges.
I just came off of 2 12-hour shifts yesterday and today. I'm able to be off today, but there was once again a need. So after I'm done talking with you, I will likely go in and help out my colleagues who are running short.
My name is Amber Christensen. I'm in the final year of getting my bachelor's in the respiratory therapy program at Seattle Central, up in the Health Education Center at Pacific Tower. The woman who starts that video, Catherine Lazaro, is not only a practicing respiratory therapist, she's also a teacher in my program. Where does she get the energy? I truly don't know. She has some hidden power supply, some sense of commitment and duty that never lets up. She's not alone. There's Scott, our clinical director of the program. When he's not teaching the juniors and running labs and making sure that we get all of our clinical rotations, he's also being a respiratory therapist at Providence. That takes a physical toll, of course, but also an emotional one. He talked about it a little with KUOW last year.
And so what's poignant to me as a clinician is witnessing sort of these last conscious moments of these patients who are alone in the hospital with no family around them, sort of communicating these last wishes and or, well wishes to their loved ones.
As students, we don't look after COVID patients yet. Some wondered whether a lot of us would quit the program, seeing what was up ahead. No one quit. A couple came close, but only because they lost the jobs they were working to get through school. But with some help, they managed to stick it out. More remarkable, the cohort of students who comes after us is the biggest ever. My classmates amaze me not only with their determination, but with their diversity, every gender, almost every age, almost every country. Over the last few years, the program has had students from 55 different countries of origin. 55. And such impressive people. I think of my friend Semhar from Eritrea. If English is her second language, medical terminology is her third, and she's accomplished in all of them. By the time we graduate, maybe COVID will be in retreat. No matter what the future throws at us, we'll be ready. Our program director, Jen Clark, says other respiratory therapy programs set you up to this level. But that's not good enough for the program at Seattle Central. Her grads have to get up to this level. She pushes you, and then she pushes you harder. She knows that we're soon going to be out in the world, and she wants us to be able to think critically, talk to doctors confident in our knowledge. Graduation comes soon. I had so hoped our graduation would be like this. All of us together, being silly in our specialized regalia, ventilator circuits around our necks. When I started the program, I thought about the message I would put on my graduation cap, facing up to the sky, something for my mom who passed several years ago to see. Instead, we'll be taking individual photos by the Iron Lung, snapping photos from 6 feet apart, just like last year's group. And after that, it's into the world, where we try to make an impact in our own way. I can't wait to give it my all.
Hello, I'm Dr. Chemene Crawford, Interim President at North Seattle College. Welcome. As you can see from that video, the impact of the education provided at the Seattle Colleges isn't just on students or on employers. It's on all of us. There's a profoundly positive impact on our community. Over this last year, what would we have done without all of the frontline workers who got their start at our colleges? The healthcare workers, yes, but also the skilled chefs trained at South and Central who have helped keep us nourished, the big rig technicians who have kept trucks on the road delivering groceries to our stores, and the aviation mechanics who have kept planes in the skies moving critical goods across the country and across the globe. And think about the electrical lines people who have kept our power on and the internet flowing. It's so easy to take for granted until you lose it. Most recently, I was part of a community college system in Texas, and I can tell you my friends and colleagues aren't taking this for granted now. Over the past year, and actually every day, every year, these people make possible our quality of life and at times life itself. It feels good as a college president to be part of that. I want to take this opportunity to pay tribute to a program at my own school, North Seattle College. That's our early childhood education program. I have not one, not two, but 3 eager people from that program who want to speak to us today. As you'll see, they love what they're doing. I'm being joined by 3 of our early childhood education program colleagues, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you.
Thanks, Dr. Crawford. I'm Annie Garrett, and I manage the bachelor's degree program in early childhood education at North.
Hi, I'm Dr. Samantha Dolan, and I'm the Interim Associate Director of Early Childhood Initiatives here at North Seattle College, and I'm also faculty in our bachelor's program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ninder, and I'm one of the faculty that teaches in the associates and the bachelor's program in the early childhood education department.
Great, welcome, and thanks to the three of you for joining us. I just have a few questions for you. In light of the fact that we are a year into the pandemic, what's the state of the city's child care infrastructure?
We have seen hundreds of programs closing. A lot of these programs were looking at closing anyways because they weren't able to meet the rising educational and quality requirements of the city and the state. But we have 40% of programs that may not open again after the pandemic. And this is putting parents in a really tricky spot. It's disrupting the workflow for a lot of local families that are depending on these child care workers. And it's added huge stress into the lives of essential workers who can't work from home, as well as parents who can work from home, but can't do so while they're taking care of a young child at the same time.
I would also add that I think through this pandemic, we've realized that early learning is an essential service. It's an essential business. It's, as Samantha said, it's impacting families and it's impacting businesses, our economy, but mostly it's impacting the children that need to be in programs and quality programs as well. And so I feel that COVID has brought that to light a little bit more than it, before COVID. So.
Yeah, it's impacting children. And I also want to, if I can add into that, women in particular who are staying home with children, working from home, maybe at the same time that they're caring for children. And we're hearing this called the first female recession because of the impact on women's ability to work while also caring full time and educating children. I remember before the recession, some of my friends, well-meaning, would just say, really, do teachers need bachelor's degrees? Do preschool teachers, infant toddler teachers, do they really need bachelor's degrees? And, I don't hear that question much anymore because those same friends have now had to be the teacher at their home because of COVID. And so I think that people are really starting to catch on and understand that, yeah, we need these resources. We need teachers with degrees.
So as we start to slowly come out of the pandemic, we have to rebuild so many aspects of our community, particularly our local economy. So how do you see the early childhood education program contributing to that?
North is playing lots of roles. We have stepped up in response to the community, and we're now offering certificates, associates, and bachelor's degrees. The bachelor's degree actually was catalyzed by the city of Seattle. Then Council Member Tim Burgess was a part of the Universal Pre-K pilot, and we launched our bachelor's degree in partnership with the city at that time.
Oh, I was going to add to that conversation that one of the things that we have been able to do is leverage funding to create programs that are more equitable and give access to members of the community that traditionally have been excluded from higher education.
One of the things that we've done is provided classes in a provider's home, our heart language. And so we have Spanish, Somali, as well as Arabic immersion cohorts. And those cohorts are growing. What that tells us is that these providers realize the responsibility that they have in building the future and working with these children. One of our students, Juan, in our Spanish immersion cohort, said in a meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, and he said, great teachers make great children, and that makes for a great future. And I think that really reminds us that the investment that we have to make in early childhood education, it's about supporting the teachers who ultimately set the foundation for the children, and that ultimately supports our community and our city.
It's incredibly important for the teachers and education professionals working with these young children to understand their cultures and understand their language and be a part of these communities. And when when programs professionalize, a lot of that rich diversity gets lost because we know who's entering universities for training, and it's not always these same people. So in our role, it's incredibly important that we continue to provide equitable access to all members of the early learning workforce so they're not left behind as the field professionalizes.
I wanted to thank Annie Garrett, Ninder Gill, and Samantha Dolan for joining us and providing us with this amazing information, wonderful information. We thank you for all that you do, and we hope that everyone watching has enjoyed this conversation.
Hi, I'm Betsy Hasegawa. I use she, her, and hers pronouns. I'm Japanese and Ainu heritages, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion at South Seattle College. So when I think about equity can't wait, what that means to me is I really think that the world that we're in, the world that we have inherited, the world that we are leaving to the folks who come after us, in order for it to be really the highest version of what we can become, it's not just about the content knowledge that students are going to get from being college students, but it's really about who are we as human beings? How do we show up? And to me, a lot of that is about leadership. It's about followership. It's about being community members. It's about really feeling a sense of belonging in the community that I'm in. And to me, a lot of that has to do with who I learn with, how I learn, and really, so much of what we can offer is about building community. I think that's actually what will really take us into the next period of time.
Greetings, my name is DeAndre Fisher. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and beloved. When I think about this campaign and I think about Equity Can't Wait, I truly think about the opposite, and that is the cost of it waiting. When I think about and reflect about this campaign, and I think about the students who rose to adversity in the faces of many challenges on behalf of their communities, on behalf of the state of humanity and equity for all, in the midst of this, still rising to the challenge to say that their educational dreams cannot wait. When I think about the challenges of the single mother and father who decided that it cannot wait, when I think about the challenges of the veteran, the challenges of the homeless student, of the student who's hungry at night but decided that their education cannot wait. So what that tells me is that we cannot wait if we really want to see the change that we're striving as an institution to make happen in our communities and within ourselves.
When I started at the colleges, I knew it was an institution that mattered, but I didn't grasp a tenth of it. I didn't comprehend the scale, how many students depend on us. Students of such extraordinary variety, including nationality. 55 different countries represented in the respiratory therapy program. Wow. I also didn't appreciate the huge range of programs that we have. As Dr. Rosie was talking about when she noted the many, many doors you can walk through here and find a welcome, what makes it even more remarkable is that it all gets done with slender resources. Jim Sinegal talked about philanthropic support for higher education. It's time that the whole pie got bigger. Education is that important. And it's important that the slice of the pie for schools like ours, serving students like ours, that it grow as well. It's time for that equity. This campaign is ambitious. We intend to raise $50 million for three purposes: to better support our students who are struggling financially, and all of our students with the strongest, most effective possible services: advising, tutoring, mentoring. We also want to power innovation. This is Seattle, a world capital of invention, creation, creative destruction. To meet the needs of our students, we have to equal that pace of innovation. New industries requiring new skills are emerging constantly. We have to be a point of entry to those opportunities for our community in all of its diversity. No one else plays that role, and without it, the exhausted cycle of exclusion continues. So we have to stay relevant in what we teach, and that takes resources. The third part of this campaign has to do with the fundamentals. I mean, two things. First, our faculty and staff. Try this sometime. Ask someone who went to a community college and then transferred to a traditional four-year school who their favorite teacher was. More often than not, you know what they'll say? A professor at a community college. Almost always, the people who teach in our schools do it out of love. Love of teaching, love of their subject, love of turning the dial just a little, student by student, toward more justice, more inclusion. We need the resources to attract and support more of these special humans who make this their life work. In particular, we need to attract and retain more faculty and staff of color so that we truly reflect this community in all its beautiful differences. The other fundamental is our facilities, starting with our classrooms. Many are out of date, especially in view of the hybrid in-person online learning that's clearly going to be one of the lasting legacies of this time of COVID. I want to ask you to give, or give again if you gave earlier. I want to ask you to give generously, and I want you to know how much it matters to us. Every $100 makes a difference. Every $500, every $1,000, every $1 million. But that's probably not in the cards tonight.
Kerry, can I cut in here? Actually, somebody did just do that. I'm very pleased to tell you that we've just gotten a pledge of $1 million from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And there's more. There's also an anonymous donor who's given $2 million.
Okay, then, now we're on a roll. Anything else?
Well, there's what everybody that's here tonight is able to give. And you know, what I saw in my years at United Way is that this is exactly how it works. Some people have lots of capacity, some less. But if everyone does what they can, then after a while you get there. You break through to a goal that earlier seemed unreachable, and then you reach beyond. And tonight's the night it starts. So everyone out there, thank you. This campaign matters, and your part in it matters.
Jon, I can't thank you enough. As we close out the evening, we want to leave you with this. It reminds us of why we do what we do.
What up, Seattle Colleges? When we link up, we unstoppable. I love this city. Don't you love this city? Yeah, I love this city. Hey, yo, we love this city. Come on, let's go.
This world right now is showing us we are deeply connected.
Well, all right.
It's not about how much you achieve.
Well, okay.
It's about the growth within you and sharing that with the world.
I'm going into the helping career, and I really want to help people.
I love you!
One thing I'd like to say to my fellow graduates.
Congratulations.
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 Congratulations. Huge congratulations.
I did
Class of 2020.
Right here.
We
This our city, throw your hands in the
are
air.
unstoppable.
Thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to being together with you all soon.